Hello, my name is Alex, and today I'm here with Mike Lamberth, owner of a 2008 Ford Mustang Bullitt. Hello, Mike. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me today.
I'm doing great. Glad y'all could come out.
Yes. It is awesome to see this car. I absolutely love it. Tell me about how you got into Bullitt, how you were first introduced, whether it was the car or the film.
It was the film. As a kid, I loved Mustangs. Little kid, one of my dad's friends had a 64 coupe, red Mustang coupe, when it was brand new, and I thought that's just the coolest car in the world. A few years later, my family bought Fords. I remember going to a Ford dealership. It must have been 69 because they had 69 Mach 1s in the showroom, and I just fell in love with the 69 Mach 1. That's still probably my ultimate Mustang. A few years later, we had moved to Texas, and my dad took me to see Bullitt. And I know it wasn't when it was first released, because this had to have been about 1970, 71. It was a re-release.
Sure.
Back in the days when there were 3 TV channels and you had to go to the theater to see a movie. He took me to see it, and I was like, well, I kind of knew who Steve McQueen was, really wasn't into it. And he said, oh, you'll love the movie. There's a chase scene with a Mustang, and he's chasing the bad guys in a Dodge Charger. And I went, okay. And he's describing the jumps over, and it's like the greatest chase scene ever. And I took me to see the movie, and again, that was so long ago. I don't remember much about the movie, but I remember the car, and I remember the chase. And the car, the way they did the car in the movie, they roughed it. It was a new car, but they made it look old and beat up. And this was like, this is just something he had. And the bad guys drive this evil black Charger, and the whole thing, the way that scene did, particularly the best part of that chase is when they're looking for him, they look around, they look in the mirror, and there he is.
Yes.
When it comes over the hill, and there it is.
Excellent cinematography.
That just, in the movie score. And looking back on the movie, watching it again, it's a great movie. It's so subtle and overdone, and at a time when most cop movies are constant car chases and shootouts, McQueen never touches his gun until the very end of the movie. I had a good friend, a DEA agent I worked with, and she wanted to write screenplays, and she was always sending screenplays to Hollywood, and they would call her back and go, well, first of all, where's the car chase? And she goes, I've been a DEA agent 20 years, I've never been in a car chase. Okay, well, where's the gunfights? And she goes, I've been a DEA agent 20 years. The only time I've ever fired my weapon is on the range. Yeah, but so they couldn't accept, we want reality, but this is what we really want. So that was kind of, it's boring. Most of what we did was kind of boring. But that was kind of an appreciation for the movie, the car, and McQueen all kind of gelled at the same time.
So, this 2008 Mustang Bullitt that you have here, is this your first Bullitt that you've owned?
This is my first one. This is actually an 09. This is an early 09.
Okay.
They were going to build 7,700. Of course, the economy kind of tanked about this time, and although it was the anniversary of the movie, they ended up stretching the production into 09. And almost no differences between the two, other than they sold this as an 09 versus an 08. It's essentially the same car, and then I think they made about 6,500 instead of the full 7,700. But this is my second Mustang and my first Bullitt.
Being the owner of a Bullitt, have you ever been challenged or challenged a Charger to a race?
One time. And when I read your questions the other day, and I was thinking about it, and I was saying, well, and my youngest daughter, who's 13, was like, what do you mean? And I said, what happened? Look, driving down a road near here, there's a high school not too far away, and I'm driving down the road, and a high school age kid in a black 4-door late model Charger.
All right.
And it wasn't an SRT, and it wasn't.
Not an
I don't think it was an
RT
RT. It may have been a V6. But it was a nice looking car.
Still,
the black hat window.
at least it's
nice
black.
one.
Yeah.
But it was, and I'm driving down Slaughter Lane over here. A couple lights, and every light he's either behind me, or he's pulling up to me, and it's like
trying to get your attention.
Leave me alone. Leave me in. And it's like clearly it's cool. He clearly thinks. Oh,
probably understands what you have.
Most people at that age wouldn't know what a Bullitt Mustang was.
Probably
clearly
not.
he understood it, and so I made a turn, and I head over towards 290. The highway, and it's open road, and I made a left. He was behind, he was following me, and once I got straightened out, I just nailed it.
Right, so this is where you keep your your Bullitt and Mustang collectibles.
As my wife calls toys.
The toys.
Yeah, I was just kind of transitioned to a spare room. I started the stuff I had kind of scattered around the house or put away. I said, I got some bookshelves. I'll put everything up here, and all of us have the scale model here, and then over time you come across like these and some of these others. And this was one that I got off the internet. I found it a couple of years ago, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool.
I've seen that same one, yeah.
And of course, you can't take them out. And it's like my grandson, Grandpa, can I play with these? No, Sam. This was at the Nationals a few years ago in Detroit. Everybody that was there signed it, and there was a raffle.
Whose signatures? The car owners?
These are all Bullitt owners.
And they're production numbers, right?
Yeah. Okay. Again, we're funny about our numbers.
Yeah, very important.
And then also it was the color of the car. If you had a blue one, you signed it in blue. There's Kurt, Charles.
And the red one, of course, yep.
That's the Hyundai Crew. That's we had red, the pre-production
very
card.
Cool.
So Paul Rocha signed that. And just different people that I've gotten to be friends with in the last 9 years. These black Bullets, and it's so I'm up there, and then the last day of the get together leaving, he goes, "Hey, you won the poster." I took it home, had it framed, and had it all done up. My wife's going, "Where are you gonna put that?" Okay.
Now I see it's got the original 68 on there. Now, are there signatures for the 68, even though it's not technically a Bullitt?
We have a cup here. Mike has a 67. That is a Bullitt clone.
Okay.
He lives in Arkansas, and he drives that car. I ran into him in New Mexico a couple of years ago on his way back from California. We ran into each other in Santa Rosa. I pull him in the parking lot, and I go, "That's Mike's car." And he drives it. It's a 67. He drives it. I think there's one other.
And I can't help but notice there's
another one here.
Canadian flags there, if I'm not mistaken, on the bottom.
Yes, we have Canadian members.
Oh, okay.
We have some Canadian Bullitt owners, particularly Chris and Paul Rocha.
Okay.
And Maggie is in there somewhere. And they come down from Canada. They'll come all the way from Canada for 3 days in Texas to hang out with us.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
No, it's just we're all the internet's been a buzz with all of us Bullitt owners. The two things: the release of the new Bullitt, and then I think what's even bigger is the hero cars, they call it, emerging. Because we've known about it for years, and it's been in hiding, and it was like, one day will that car ever emerge? And it's priceless. It's got to be worth millions.
Absolutely.
If it ever went on the auction block, there's millions. And it's great to see it.
Do you know who actually owns that vehicle now? Is it the McQueen estate?
No. Steve tried to buy the car back in '77.
Yes,
it was sold to somebody, as I understand, that was involved in the movie. He sold it to a detective in New Jersey, who's named Frank, who drove it. And then he sold it in '74 to a fellow, and I can't remember his name, but they're the ones that his son was the one that was on the release the other day. And they drove it as a daily driver. This guy's mom drove it to school for 3 or 4 years. Imagine, in the late '70s, your mom's driving that car, and it was loud and it was rough and everything else. And then they just put it away. And over time, they were going to fix it up, as I understand. And a few years ago, the gentleman passed away, and his son had the car. They kind of got it running again, and I think there was sort of a lot of communication with Ford, from what I'm hearing, to bring it out. And the Bullitt community is thrilled to see the car. We're so glad that he is sharing it with us. The release with McQueen's granddaughter up there driving the new one.
Yes.
And that car, it's great. And we're all thrilled that they've brought it out, and they're sharing it with us again. And I hope they keep it and show it to everybody.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike.
Appreciate it. Nice talking to you. I'm glad y'all are doing this, promoting our hobby, or my wife says my obsession.